Good evening, David.
Hi, Uli.
We are very glad from the Ideal Spaces Foundation to have a podcast with you as a real estate owner running a company in real estate business about this important aspect of city and community and how to influence the urban fabric today. And explicitly want to express my thanks to the Hotel Messmer in Baden-Baden, enabling the opportunity to make this podcast here. Welcome, David.
Welcome, Uli, and thanks a lot for having me in your podcast. That's a pleasure for me as well. I am, as you mentioned already, real estate business owner since 17 years. I'm working in Baden-Baden and in the closer area around 50 kilometers around between Karlsruhe and Offenburg. And yeah, I've been through many ups and downs in the real estate business. That means we had the low mortgage rate, low interest rate times, and we have now the high interest rate times. High means 4%. And in the olden days, we had even 10 or 12%, or the generation of my parents had 12%. Now we're complaining about 4%. But this is another story. My business changed a lot from very good last 10 years because of a low interest rate till now, very difficult time since 1 year and a half maybe, with lots of new challenges. But I'm looking positively forward to make a good business also in 2024.
Okay. Yes, in this personal background of your business experience, let me go to my first question. From the background of your activities in the real estate business, what are the determining forces in that business in terms of a neoliberal economy of today? So the recent neoliberal market, what are the major forces in play?
First of all, or the biggest issue in my opinion, is the capitalization of properties and the real estate in Germany. Because in the olden days, there was a mommy and a daddy and 2 children, and they wanted to buy a house with a white, nice fence. That was the main reason. But nowadays it's an investment. Rich people, mostly white old people, that's the new term, they're gonna buy properties just for an investment. They increase the rates, the monthly rates, from maybe €6 some years ago, now 12 to 14 euro the square meter. Nowadays, 2024. And due to this, it's a problem. The capitalization of real estate is the biggest, in my opinion. It's not possible for normal people to buy property anymore. And also, it's a big problem because of the monthly rent is going up to the roof. That means 100 square meters, we pay between 1,200 and 1,400 euro. And then the side cost might be another 350. So we talking about 1,550 euro a month for a family. So usually we say 30 to 40% of your income should be your monthly rate. Now we are 60%. So where's the end?
Now, that's an interesting point as regards the social consequences. In your opinion, so what is the general tendency with this price increase? It must have some social consequences in terms of gentrification, of what are the major issues here?
We call it a scissor. The scissor opens, and the middle of the society, which was the majority before, is drifting to the lower. And it's very difficult for low incomes to have any own property in Germany in general. And before all the problems, the Germans are, of all Europeans, the ones with the least own properties. Even Greece or Italy have more own properties than the Germans. So, and now it's even worse. And I think in the future it will be not better.
Which could be the consequences if it will not get better in the future, as regards the scissor you mentioned?
The consequences, maybe you know the big company Vonovia. They have lots of thousands of units in Berlin. And the people who live there, mostly low income, they go on the streets and they make a demonstration and they say, we have to take these properties away from the big companies, and they call it living is a human right. So that means if you have 10 units, let's say you're rich, and you have 10 units, and your renters, they come to you and say, Uli, it's not okay. You have 10 units. I don't have even one. So we don't pay any rent anymore, for example, or we pay much smaller rent. So this is a bad tendency because it's, of course, the ones who have more than the ones who have less are in a better position. That's a problem I see.
Yeah, that's a problem. How to deal with this problem? Are there any models, also investment models, at least trying to reconcile these contradictions?
First of all, the government agreed to build 400,000 units a year, but they just need 260,000. But scientists, they said it should be 500,000. Yeah. So there is a big lag between we do and we need. Say again, what was the second part?
But the point is, as regards the further development, so if you look at this CISA, are there any possibilities to reconcile it with new models in real estate business, with new approaches, or not? So,
if there is a new generation with less greed, and they say, okay, we want to build a new city, we want to build a new tomorrow, and the money is not the first issue. We do it because we are good people, because we want to give something back to the society. Then it could be a change. But I think with me, if I would be the one in charge, I want to make money. That's my business.
That is a contradiction. That is clear. It is an evident and systemic contradiction.
I make it so clear because I think it will be hard to find an investor, and the investor want to buy 10 units. And the 10 units, he can say, or he will say, I want the square meter in Baden-Baden, for example, the square meter, 9,000 euro. And then there is an organization and they say, could you do something for the people who have less money? Could you do it maybe for 3,800 euro? So what do you think, Uli, investor say?
The normal investor, this is clear what he says. He would refuse. But the question is, on a social as well as on a political level, if we look at the forecast, at the tendency of this CISA as such, are there models even conceivable where you can still make profit as an investor? And on the other hand, to get more flexible as regards investments in social needs? Or is this a dream and has to remain a forever contradiction?
No, it's interesting. Again, it's also important that the government support these investors with financially. That they say, okay, you will build from the 10 units, we keep the 10 units. You make 5 high class units. You can make whatever you want. You can offer them for 9 or 10,000. That's okay. But the other 5 units, we make it more for the lower income. But you get a benefit with the 5% tax you have to pay on every unit, and we support you with another cashback at the end of the construction, so that the investor says, okay, this is not 0-0. business, this is a win-win situation, because the advertisement for my properties will be a better one, because I say I have high class and I do something, I give something back for the units, and maybe I build a playground for the children. Maybe there is also a kita in the ground floor. So yes, but the government has to do something. And at the moment, they don't even build what they promised. Not only this government, all the governments since 20, 30 years ago.
Why is the reason that the governments had not reacted?
The government did one, in my opinion, a big mistake. The units owned by Vonovia, for example, it can be any other company as well, but for example, Vonovia, they bought it for a good price. They are thousands of units. And now the people blame them for too high rent, whatever. And now they are about to sell it again. If the government, like Austria, they never sold any units, the government. They keep it and they keep the rents low. But the German government, they wanted to make a money. Of course, if Karlsruhe sells 1,500 units to an investor, Karlsruhe gets a lot of money, so they can invest it in some other projects.
Yeah.
But if you sell your silver and gold, at the end of the day, you don't have your silver and gold, and that's the problem right now.
That's interesting. Okay. Another point related to the social aspects of investments. Could there be, for an investor, could there be any interest in investing in public spaces as places for communities, for instance, to invest in urban parks or to invest in playgrounds or?
I think the word itself, investor, means he invests, and he's a private. He want the benefit. I can give you an example. Like in the Central Park in New York, they tried to renovate the ice skeet area in the Central Park, and Donald Trump was the only one who could make it. And he did it on two purposes. First of all, it was not a lot of money, and second, the publicity was immense for him. It was he would say tremendous, but it was amazing for him. So if I'm an investor, or you would, the city of Karlsruhe would ask you, could you help us? We want to make a park or a kindergarten or a kita in the middle of Durlach near Karlsruhe. What would be your biggest aspect to do that?
If I would be an investor, I would, perhaps there are different types of investors. Most probably I would be a type of investor who would think, okay, on the one hand, I need profit, but I do not have to maximize my profit by all means, because I only live once and I cannot spend all the money. And so what I'm gaining profit for profit's sake, this is, it's a greedy venture for me as an investor. And I would say, okay, when I'm looking like Trump, also at publicity, it would be a very good publicity for our company to invest in public affairs, for instance, in assisting the financing of a park. But as you said it would need how to spell it? It's more than help. It would need an integrated action together with the government to really rethink a part of the urban fabric, how we could make it anew for the sake of community, in the sense that social disparities are minimized or at least curbed down, that we have a rich social diversity as we had in pre-modern cities, for instance, in the city cores, for keeping social peace. This would be considerations also for me as an investor. As long as I can make profit and not make a loss in the entire project, I would agree.
We have a nice example here in Baden-Baden. I don't want to mention names, just an example. The city of Baden-Baden, they need a new kita, but not only for 10 children, maybe for 30 or 40 or 50. So, but they don't have the money to build it. So they found an investor from here, profit-oriented one. And he said, okay, I build you this kita completely. I build it from like you want it, with everything you want. And you rent it from me for 50 years. We make a monthly rent, and this rent increase every 2-3 years, some percentage, maybe 1-2%. And for him, it was a big benefit because his name was in the news. He do something good. He gives something back from his richness, let's say. But at the end, both had a big profit. The city, or the mayor had a profit because he did something, especially for a very sensible matter like kita, childcare, and the investor also had a profit from it because he get the monthly rate and he get it safe. Whatever comes, he have it safe. 50 years, there's a contract. So would it be interesting to invest in a public space, let's say, where elderly and young come together? For example, elderly have time, they can take care of the kids as well from parents who work, make maybe like coffee place, like a coffee shop, like daycare coffee shop. Yeah, interesting. And the investor build it and the city rents it. So they both have a profit. But at the end, the investor will only build if there is a cashback. Otherwise.
Yeah, clear. It's about the amount of cashback. And first of all, in my eyes, it's about a new model and a new approach as such. No? And another point is, if you are speaking about profits, if you look profit in a broader context, in the context of successful business, I think we would have to reconsider what means success. Is success only profit? First of all, when we look at the existing tendencies of social disruption, are there new means of success with still having a cashback when I'm investing something?
Interesting question, Uli, because asking what is success in our society, look what's in the TV, what's in the media, what's success? Success is you're healthy. Your car, your Rolex, your pretty girlfriend, or whatever your partner is. Success is something which is surround us every day in the advertisement. And not success is the opposite of what I told you now. Not success is if you're complaining about your life, if you're not posting on Instagram every nice dish, every beautiful holiday, every nice new watch you have. So I think there is a high level in what is success and what's not success.
It's an important point. It's a culturally grounded value, even as an unthought known, as you had it in the advertisers. We see this kind of worldview every day, and it influences us every day. You know? This is a very important point. The other point is, having this in mind, we nevertheless, as free acting and rational human beings, which is a human ideal, of course, but let's assume that we at least sometimes are rational, no? And sometimes of free acting, have a free will. No? And then it would be possible to at least consider other definitions of success in the concrete case of investing into a future architecture. Why not? Why not redefine it? As a cashback is guaranteed. No? So we are not drifting into socialism. This would be the principal other option. We refrain from private property-based economy. This, okay. As I worked in countries professionally, where this model has been realized, it's not a real alternative.
I agree totally.
But neoliberalism also is no alternatives due to its social explosive potential. But let's keep this background of the two major models. No? And let's assume that if we remain in a free market, the existing neoliberal market is not truly free. It is no free market. But let's return to a free market, as in the positive sense of an early capitalism. We say, okay, we have a free market with many competitors, equal competitors of equal powers, free to consider new models of investment in future architecture. Is this feasible? Is this realistic? As cashback is guaranteed in each model.
Yeah. The problem is in the moment that everything after COVID gets much more expensive. We're talking about double or triple price, starting from windows, concrete, wood, whatever you want to buy, you pay triple at the moment. Even the labor is much more expensive than before. So you cannot buy cheap anymore. You cannot buy as pre-COVID, and you cannot construct as pre-COVID. Maybe we have a new realism where you have to understand or just take it as it is, that the smaller incomes cannot realize to buy own property, because now with the new laws also from the banks, they want 30 to 40% down pay. So let's make an example. We take a nice property, 100 square meter, 500,000 euro. We don't talk about a new one. This is 10 years old. When we talk about a new one, we are 700, 800,000. But let's say a used one, 500,000. So At the moment, the interest rate is 4% and 2% you have to pay the credit. So 6% from 500,000 is 30,000 a year divided by 12. Let's say you need 30,000 euro more than you had yesterday. Yesterday you had the rent, it was like 1,200. Now you need 30,000 euro more, and you have your wife, and you have maybe one child. Or maybe you have two. So where you want to take this money from? You have to pay back 30,000. And pre-COVID, before COVID, it was different. You could even make with 0% or 110%. You could buy something that even the side costs the bank did pay, but these times are gone. So I don't see it positive for the small pocket.
Okay. The question is this a continuing phenomenon, these new price levels? Let's call them price levels, as a credits, interest rates included. Now, this is all price, widest sense. Is this a continuous phenomenon, or can we say that it will level off again, at least in the direction, the pre-COVID direction, or is this forever gone?
We had 10 years now. We had a dream time in last 10 years where they were a dream. Before these 10 years, it was like it's now, but the construction costs were much lower.
Yeah.
So, and the labor was much lower. So I think in the history, the labor it will be not cheaper than now,
Okay.
Everything will be more expensive, not cheaper. The only thing I agree is that maybe the interest rates in the future will be cheaper than now, hopefully, because otherwise buying a property is a game for rich people.
Yeah. And let's take this scenario as a game for rich people, no? And the gentrified inner cores of major cities. No? How the cities in the future will look like? Is the inner city only for the rich? And where's the rest of the population? In the outskirts? Or?
It's really funny, sir, only because I can remember in the 80s, the people, let's take Karlsruhe, because I worked there also 5 years for a big company. In Karlsruhe, the really rich people, they went out 20 kilometers or 10 kilometers outside on the hills and built their big houses there. That was very fancy to do it at this time when they were in the 40s. Then they were in 65. They were retired or self-employed. So they not retired. They just stop working. And then they get old and they get a bit sick. So they go back to the city. But no one want to buy a house on the hill anymore. No one needs that. And it's far away. You need gasoline a lot to go in the city. You work every day. So what was in the 80s the place to be is now just a hideaway for some exceptional people. But everyone wants to go back in the city, even here in Baden-Baden. Very rich people. We're talking about the 1%. They come from everywhere and they tell me, David, I want to live in Baden-Baden city center, not on the hill, not left, not right. I want to live. They show me 500 meters where they want to live. So that's a big limitation, and they can afford it. It's not the price. It's the property they want.
They can afford it. If we,
you asked me where these people without the big money want to live.
Yeah, this is the point.
Yeah. For example,
point, no?
Yeah.
As for the rest.
Absolutely. And in Berlin, I saw a documentary that they live outside the city now because it's much more affordable. We talk about the old east of Berlin, and mostly young people and families go out of Berlin because it's absolutely not affordable. Like in the big cities in Asia or in America, they have the business district. We have a business district maybe in Frankfurt, but in general, in other big cities, not in the old world, let's say Europe is the old world for me. Take Asia with new cities or some American cities, they have a business district. No one lives in the business district.
Nobody lives.
Yeah.
Okay. If we look, I want to come back at this social point. I'm a hidden socialist, This you have to know. And
that's why we drink just water, right?
Maybe. No, this has other reasons. No, but our foundation is concerned with the field of space and community, no? And it is not meant in a strictly socialistic direction. It's about the relations between space, community, and space as regards placemaking, with the connotations of keeping the social peace via keeping a rich social diversity of peaceful cohabitation between different kinds of people. And I have lived in cities where this was actually the case, practiced and realized. No? And in the quarter where I lived, they had some very rich people, and all the rest also. This was it was really mixed. And it worked. No? So on the street life, it really worked. There was no violence. There was all in order.
Yeah.
It is makeable, in other words. It's not just conceivable as an utopian dream. It is makeable. You can achieve it. No? And regarding this issue of our foundation, the relation between space and community, and ideal also in the sense of realistic imaginations about future spaces, we have to consider these social problems you addressed in the beginning of our interview. What to do with them if they exaggerate? What then?
You mean if there is much more people who cannot afford anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Revolution.
Okay.
Riots. Laundry. Name it. Look at different parts in the world. I mean, there are some areas in America at the moment, there are riots. They are running into grocery stores or JB Hi-Fi or whatever name they have. And you see videos how they steal things. The same can happen in Europe. If there is a critical mass, you go over the critical mass.
And then we have it. No? And this relates to my initial question about the alternative models of investment in real estate. Are there any alternative models to riots? Because riot means end of neoliberal market in the end. No? At least as regards real estate. No?
Yeah. I mean, it all starts with education. If the parents, it's well known, if the parents are well educated, the kids will be educated too. If the parents are not very educated, it's hard for the kids to go to a higher school, to go to university. Yeah. That's all well known. We all know this. If you talk now about Germany in specific, there is a well-known problem, let's say a not solved problem with the immigrants and with the assimilation and with learning German language and with being apart and not ghettoized.
Yeah.
So, but this is also government problem. I mean, if they place one group of people in one area of a city, so you will have them there and they speak their language.
You will have your ghetto, clear. This is, on the other hand, meanwhile, we have a large fraction, an increasing fraction in the population, also in Germany, where the parents have been educated, where the children have been educated, and they are poor nevertheless because they find no jobs. So revolution is the only alternative. No?
I mean, at the moment,
there must be more creative ways. No?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, for example, my generation, when I finished the school, I was looking for a job and it was very hard because I'm from the boomer years and there was a lot of people and the companies, they could choose from 20 young people and they choose the best. So now we have not many. So for the young people finish the school, for them it's a big chance to get the best job. But you have to look what kind of job. What we need is healthcare.
Low paid. You need 3 to 4 jobs. Also, I know people in the context of our foundation, young people, educated people, they need up to 3 to 4 jobs just in order to survive financially.
Yeah,
and there are no immigrants, no? And it's It's about tendencies. No? Also, I'm not principally against the revolution. Also, do not understand me wrong. No? But a revolution is a bloody thing, and it is chaos and disorder. And this is it's the first issue. It is bloody. It is an upheaval. And if we could find ways, and this was the question about these alternative investment models, also integrated with the help of the government, with public-private partnerships or whichever concrete variant of these alternative models you might choose, to make an urban living a deserving the name as regards a place for human beings, and not only for some rich people living in the city center, as if the city center is not a business district.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need alternatives.
The alternatives have to be paid by someone who achieved the same goal as you mentioned. So it's, now we have again a greed society. So, the elbow society, the empathy, that's what I always say, stops with my mom. I don't have empathy for lots of people. I have it for my mom, for my best friends. And so is everyone. So we close our eyes for the big problems, mostly.
Okay. What is your prospect as regards the real estate business? Is there any possibility, as we have this revolution, upheaval, doomsday scenario in the background, is there any possibility, creative, constructive possibilities for the real estate business, question of these alternative models, to really consider in the direction of these models? Or it's a question. Or have we to say, okay, the neoliberal market system, and this also affects real estate business, as we have it now, is doomed to extinct in the end, because we cannot bear on the long run these large social inequalities. It's impossible. That's before the revolution. So we are speaking about the epoch before the revolution. Is this at the end of the neoliberal market system?
I don't think so. I think it will be harder, but it's not the end. We have to find other solutions. We have to find housing for the normal people, for the smaller pocket. And therefore, we have a government, and they have to build it on government costs, and then to rent it to prices the normal people can afford. That's the only solution, the only real solution. I see me as a real estate. I don't have much influence. I have the customers. They bring me the properties and I sell it to the next customer. So I do what one customer tell me and what the other customer agreed to do. So I'm the middleman. Whatever my fantasy is, no one's want to hear it, because I'm just a businessman and a real estate.
Yeah, you're the trader.
I'm just a trader. Yeah. One chance we have, I see it now, because we are the boomers and our parents are 80 plus. And now it will come a time where a lot of these parents of us will die, and they will give properties to their kids. And that's a lot of kids. It's not some. They are 3 or 4 in one family. So that if we're talking about 3 or 4 kids getting a house from the parents, there is 3. They want the money right now, so they have to sell it. So a lot of houses will come back to the market more than ever before, more than ever in history of Germany. And these houses will be sold. Mostly of these houses, they are not very well maintained, because they are from the 30s, 40s, 50s, some 70s, 80s, but they come back to the market. And the prices of these houses, I have one of these houses at the moment, exactly this example. And it's absolutely affordable. Now we need the banks who give the low pocket people with a smaller income a chance to buy it. But we have agreements like Basel 4, Basel 5, Basel 6, and they say you have to be under 55, otherwise you don't even get a loan. If you're older than 55, it's done. So you have to do it before. And you have to be smart. You have to take LACRA, Landeskreditbank, LACRA credits from the country, from the government. It's money you can get even for 1% if you're lucky. And you get beneficial if you have kids under 18. It's a very new law now. If you have kids under 18. So this is made by the government already for a family with a small amount of money, with a lots of kids under 18. But you have to be smart enough to find this page and to fill the form, which is also a problem, even for natives to find it out. And now imagine for people with immigrant, how they
have no clue how to make it.
That's why you need some government institution. They give you clue how to fill the form. And so many obstacles for normal people or even people who born here.
Okay. If you take this scenario, how an investor could assist the government, the real estate investor? Is there any cooperation thinkable or not?
Absolutely. Okay. The problem in Germany, we have to, the cities, they have land, but they don't give it. They say, no, it's not land. It's green area. And this green area, we have a lot here in Baden-Baden. If the cities say, okay, we find an investor, we want for this land 500,000 and you can build 4 houses with 40 units. We give you this land for free, but you build what we say, 50%. 50% you can do what you want, but 50%
you have to.
From the 50%, let's say from the 20 units, we make 10 units for rent for €6 the square meters. So it's not a good business for the investor, but for the other 20, it's a very big business for him. So it has to be a win-win. The only goal the cities or the government have is their land around the cities. So they have to bring it to the market to a good price or to free or for an agreement to achieve these goals. Let's say the goal is to let the small pocket give them a chance to have also, let's say, a unit, apartment.
Yep. This sounds like an interesting model, or?
It happened in Baden-Baden before. And not far from the city center, the city sold this. And the city said they sold the square meter for starting €9,000. Starting €9,000, the square meter. And the city said, we want a big benefit for the plot, for the land, a big benefit. So it was nothing. It has nothing to do or not even close to what you said. The city want a full pocket as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then it needs many agreements upfront between the different stakeholders to make this model realistic.
The problem is also pockets of the cities is also empty. Our major problems is, for example, the swimming pools of every city. They have